Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing Content Extravaganza. And if you're new here, you couldn't possibly know that I am on a mission to give you everything you need to be more successful in your business, providing, of course, what you need to be more successful in your business is to know more about and be implementing more enthusiastically, more efficiently, and more effectively sales and marketing in your business because, of course, that's what you need. You need more customers more profitably, and eventually everything you need to achieve that will be here available to you on this channel. So what happens here is on a Monday, I am here giving you everything I know about marketing. That's the series. On a Tuesday, I bring in anyone I can find who has something to share that's going to be useful to you if you're looking to be more successful in your business. That's Talk Marketing on a Tuesday. Every other Wednesday, Melanie Farmer comes through and we look at the marketing news and speculate wildly about what it might mean for you in your business. And on the other Wednesday, I'm here reviewing so you don't have to. On a Thursdays, very occasionally, we're here thinking out loud. And on a Friday, we review the very best and the very worst of marketing content on the internet. So if that sounds interesting or useful, please tell me it does. Now would be the very best time to like, share, subscribe, and comment and get involved because that will give us the motivation to continue on this epic journey. Now, luckily, it's that Wednesday in the month, if you're catching this on the day that it goes live, when Melanie Farmer comes through and we look at the marketing news and we speculate wildly about what it might mean for you in your marketing life. Welcome, the concierge of co-creation at Crazy Might Work. It's that Melanie Farmer. Good afternoon, Melanie Farmer.
Hello, good afternoon. Martin Henley, how are you this fine day?
I am extraordinarily well, thank you. I'm extraordinarily well. I'm standing up, so I have to be careful not to wobble the desk too much because people are going to get seasick. And that might be my boast. I have tackled, we're not looking at us, we're looking at you. We start with a boast. My boast is, I spoke to somebody about my bad back, which has been an issue for years, and they motivated me to get an x-ray and stuff, and I have an actual physical problem with my back, so now I'm going about fixing it, including standing. I'm actually now in flamingo pose. You won't know that because you're only seeing the top half of my body, but I am wobbling. And it's having a fantastic effect, so I am repairing myself physiologically. That's what's going on here. You have a boast for us?
Yes, well, what you're doing in biomimicry terms, which is what I study, is maintaining integrity through self-renewal. There you are, that's what nature does. I am creating a seed bank of tools for people to assess their products and their businesses against nature's life principles. So a bit of a traffic light kind of thing, but it offers up suggestions for how to make your product, service, or process more aligned with the Earth's operating conditions. There you are. But it's been really fun, and so there'll be a bunch of tools that I'm just going to give away for free for people to play with and basically. Hopefully try out some things and make their product, service, or process just a little bit more, not necessarily sustainable, but just more effective and more responsive and all of that stuff.
Good, that's what we like. We like effective. Now, there is a fantastic podcast episode coming up where you're talking about multi-sensory sales. Nothing much has happened for the last 6 weeks, so I had to go away and do some work and make some money. But very shortly that will be coming up. So the wheels are going back into motion. This is the first video that we've shot since the last news we did, which I think was about 6 weeks ago. So it has been a little bit deathly quiet here, but we are back. There are videos that need posting. There's great podcasts coming. There's great reactions coming. And I'm going to think out loud about how the internet might come to an end. That's something I want to do in the next day or so. Or a week or so. So that'll be good. That's on its way. All right, good. But we're not here to talk about your seeds. Once you have these seeds, you're going to make them available to everyone, are you? You're going to tell us how we get access to those seeds?
Yeah, I will do.
Excellent, cool. And that podcast where we talk about multi-sensory selling, I think that's an absolute gem. I'm really quite excited about that. Okay, cool. But we're here to talk about the marketing news is what we're here to do and speculate wildly about what it might mean for people in their marketing lives. So in the last 6 weeks ago, that wouldn't really be news. What's piqued your interest, Melanie Farmer, in the way of marketing news?
Gosh, it's hard to filter out because there's a lot going on. So a couple of things I can't help noticing that Twitter's ad revenue is halved. So there's a bit of a fallout from that. The marketing evaluation using AI, which I've got some opinions and feelings about, um, and and just some interesting stats to kick off the week, I suppose, that have happened fairly recently around brand growth and so on. There's 5 interesting stats, but actually I would put forward there's maybe 3, and 2 are not interesting at all.
Okay, good.
So we can skip, yeah, have a look at those maybe.
All right, fantastic. Well, it's interesting how we align. Maybe we're doing this biologically or something, because I'm coming with the other side of the Twitter coin. The news, there is a brand new social media which you seems to have completely passed you by. Instagram Threads. Are you aware of this? So that's kind of interesting because that's a direct threat to Twitter. So that's the other side of that story. Ocado in the UK is having a terrible time, and there's an article where they've been really quite frank about why they're having such a terrible time. So I thought that was interesting. And then on the artificial intelligence front, there's been a study which claims that ChatGPT is as creative as the top 1% of human thinkers. So I think we should think about that for a minute. How do we prioritize these things? What's the biggest story has to be Instagram Threads, doesn't it? If it's a brand new social media platform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go with
Okay,
that.
good. And then we can talk about the downfall of Elon Musk, because I know you like to talk about that. Then maybe we should talk about Ocado, why they're having such a terrible time. Then we'll look at your marketing evaluation. Then we'll do the AI study thing, and then we'll look at the FMCG brand growth. Should we go like that?
Right, we're ready.
We are ready.
Put your
Yeah, we
seatbelt
are
on,
off.
folks. We're going.
What's that?
Put your seatbelt on, folks. We're in a
Put your
roller coaster.
seatbelts
Let's
on.
do it.
Okay, good. So this is, I don't know exactly, I think it was July the 7th this became available to users in the United States, is Instagram Threads, which essentially, I've not even seen it, so I've got no idea. I'm not qualified to talk about this, but it's news, so we are going to talk about it. So Instagram Threads, this was on the 17th, now has 1/5 the weekly active user base of Twitter. So as I understand it, this is a text-based social media that competes directly with Twitter. There has been news of Elon Musk is interested to sue them over this. I don't know. There is also talk that this has been in the offing for years and they've just decided to push the button now because Elon Musk has Twitter. I don't know. So what they're saying here is that Instagram Threads launch has been an overnight success, topping 100 million users within days of its arrival. This now has overtaken Angry Birds is always the gauge, isn't it? So this went to over 100 million users in 6 days, blah, 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 blah. So it indicates now, new data indicates the app has already achieved 1/5 of the weekly active user base of Twitter worldwide and 86 times the weekly active user base of the largest Twitter rival in the US, Truth Social, which had a weekly active user base of 1 million as of last week. The new insights, etc., follow other analysts of Threads' early traction, which has demonstrated a slight dip in early usage. According to the app intelligence firm Sensor last week, Thread daily active users declined on Tuesday and Wednesday, down around 20% from Saturday. Time spent was also down 50% from 20 minutes to 10 minutes, the firm said, as reported by CNBC. Has now achieved over 150 million downloads by its current estimates. There is something else that we need to know about this, which is it's India that is leading adoption of this thing, with the US only accounting for 33%. It's not available in the European Union because Meta are in all sorts of trouble in the European Union because of all their data breaches, etc. So this is interesting. And then there's this other story, which is from Gizmodo, where they're talking about engagement on Instagram Threads having cratered because it's down 20%, etc. And I think the reason I've included this is because it includes the fatal line that once you install this social media on your device, you can't uninstall it without completely what's the word? Completely nuking is the word they use here. But I think there's another word that kids use. Your entire Instagram account. So if you install Threads and you don't like it, you can't get rid of it off your phone without nuking your Instagram account. So however many years you've got invested in your Instagram account goes out of the window. Here's the question I have for you. Does the world really need another social media that doesn't really work at this point? Would it not be better? Is this not like Meta now becoming the specialists in just copying or buying other people's stuff? When was the last time Meta actually innovated with anything? Does the world really need another social media? That's the question I have for you, Melanie Farmer.
Right. So March 2023, I have the latest update on the top 10 platforms, social media.
Right.
And they are really bouncing around, which is quite interesting, up, down, all over the place. So it's a very volatile time to have anything going on in that sector, to be involved in that sector at all. So Instagram 3% up, Facebook 36% down. This is March 2023. So this tells you what's going on, what the trends are, recent trends. And so, yeah, I think, YouTube up, Twitter down. So I think there's a reckoning happening, and we are having options. So I don't have any problem with having more options, because I do think that, as we've seen with TikTok, we are able to, when we have choice, we will take it. And if it means that platforms have to actually stop for a moment, listen and respond, that is exactly what they should be doing. I do think that feedback loops were one way, for a long time. And so for me, this is an inevitable correction of a maturing market. That's my feeling about it. And
Okay.
I think that, yeah, that's that's where I'm at with it. I also think Instagram, of course, they're building. There is a, unfortunately, this imperative to grow 100% of the time and invest too much in growth, not enough in development. So I think that, that this is what's sort of causing some of the downfall in some of these bigger ones. They are over investing in growth, not consolidating and investing in development. There you go. That's my 2 cents.
Okay. Well, my response to that is I don't think this is really offering an option. Like TikTok is an option. It's something different. It's something new. It's something. Do you know what I mean? It's something. It's an option. Um, I think Meta's. I don't know why I was thinking this, but today I was thinking I should just delete my Facebook. I haven't looked at it for weeks or months. I should just actually get rid of it. I tell you why. Oh no, it's a complete aside. But yeah, today I was like seriously thinking because I've been a digital marketer all this time. That's always been my justification. I need to have it, but I don't even feel like that anymore. I don't feel like I need to be a digital marketer and have a Facebook account, or maybe even an Instagram account, or maybe even any of these things. Would my life be better if I didn't? Um, so yeah, that's also my two pennies. I don't know. I won't be installing it. 100%, I won't be installing it. Um, and it might have just been a flash in the pan. It went to 100 million users. That's lovely. Largely because there's 2 billion users supposedly of Instagram. So 1 in 20 of Instagrams, like their existing customers, went for it. I think that's another way of looking at that stat. Um, yeah, I don't think it's even very interesting, but we should because it's marketing. Talk about the fact that there's another new social media. Um, so shall we skip then quickly to the second side of this coin, which is your favourite subject, the demise of Elon Musk. Shall we do that?
Yes.
You
Right.
love to do that.
So
You can't pretend you don't love to do that. So, Elon
I
Musk
would
confirms
like him to.
Twitter's ad revenue has halved.
Yeah, I don't mind Elon Musk at all. I'm. It's just that I had a reaction. I don't care who it is, but if they're charging us for verifying ourselves, that's what I had a problem with. Like TikTok aren't going to do that. They don't care who you are. So yeah, I think, Elon. Okay, so right, this is, it's interesting because it is about perception, and his name is, I think, a little bit mud at the moment. So it's fun to beat up Elon. Now, he bought Twitter for 44 billion dollars, right? And US dollars. And then he has had a mass exodus of advertisers. There's a lot of risk associated with the what you could call a hostile takeover, really. And then this story is saying how, well, first of all, that they've experienced a 50% drop, which is very significant. And major brands like Coca-Cola, Unilever, Mondelez, they're all pulling back from Twitter. So their top 1,000 advertisers, more than 60% of them have really cut spending. Now, that might not just be because it's Twitter. It might be what's happening in general around spend in social media, but it is certainly Twitter's in the firing line for that. So I think it's quite interesting because you've now also got the Global Alliance for Responsible Media, GARM, really holding him to account on his values. So they are saying, you said that Twitter was going to be different in these whatever 10 different ways, and they are holding him to account on that. So I wonder what that is going to mean, because if they're deep diving into what's going on there, they're going to find out hopefully some level of truth. And so I don't know what's going to happen, but certainly it's $3 billion, they're saying, in 2023. Still, that's not bad. I wouldn't mind $3 billion, considering he's got way less operating costs, having sacked everybody. And that's down from $5 billion, though, 2 years ago. So it's interesting how he's sort of suggesting this is just, a matter of time and everyone's coming back. I don't know if it is the end of Twitter, honestly, because I feel like if you've got it, but if it's big, right? But I do wonder, I think it's a correction moment. Of course it's going to be, brands are going to be nervous. They'd be nervous no matter what. Like if you have a new CEO, you've got a new owner, everyone's going to be nervous. So you're going to have a correction. It's a big correction, so we'll see what happens. But I guess, What do you think about this?
So here's what I think is, I think the one thing you could say about Elon Musk, if you love him or hate him, whatever, he knows how to run a business. He's done probably the sensible thing, which is he halved the staff, he's halved his hosting costs, he's blah, 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 blah. There's lots going on. He's made really positive noises. I don't use Twitter either, so I don't really know, but I get a sense that it's a nicer place in terms of there not being pictures of children being abused or any of that nasty, horrible stuff that was going on. He went out of his way to get on top of that stuff. As you're speaking, I did look at this, but I thought, Melanie will definitely bring this, so I don't need to bring it. And I think if we get the fact checkers on judging your sentiment over the time that we've been talking about Elon Musk, I think it would definitely be more negative sentiment than positive sentiment. I think it's fine. What do I think about this? I think he'll turn it around. Like this Group M media agency has said it's not high risk. Coca-Cola, Unilever and Mondelez are these really the bastions of morality that, we should be following anyway. I'm thinking that brands are behaving like idiots at the moment. Not all brands, but some brands. We saw the Bud Light thing. We spoke about the Bud Light thing. They've now lost more than $12 billion off their valuation because of that thing. Target have gone down the same road and also had billions of dollars wiped off their valuation. So I don't know if brands advertising is the moral judge that we should be looking at or not. You know what I mean? Ideally, maybe this makes it more affordable for the small businesses that I'm really interested in. Do you know what I mean? And all of those things. So I still don't think he's done anything bad. the other thing with my conspiratorial head on that really strikes me is how quickly the whole media can turn on somebody when they decide that they don't like something that they've done. Do you know what I mean? So the whole media, all the way down to marketing week. I mean, they're saying here, spend is down 13.9% or something across the industry. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're seeing this. I think spends are down. So if his is down 50%, on another article that I saw, they were saying that this is actually a trend that had been going on since before Elon Musk had taken over. So I don't know. When we talk about this at different times, very often we hear that he is trying to make it a better product to benefit advertisers. And part of that is like we've got this whole subscription thing that's come through, the paying for the verification or whatever it is. So there's that revenue to take into account. The things that astound me still, I've got no idea. Like if it took 5 billion 2 years ago, why was it valued at 9 times 5 billion? Like the evaluation was just insane right off the bat. And then the other thing that I don't understand about this is why he would say we'll be profitable by June. Like, why would you be able to turn around a monolithic corporation like Twitter in 8 months? I think that's ridiculous. But I'm confident that he'll come through. I don't think it's the end of Twitter or anything like. Interestingly, the Instagram threads have also taken up that thing. They have a paid verification kind of service level. And I think Facebook are talking about doing that. Meta are talking about doing that with Insta now as well, and the others. So,
Yeah, no, just a quick one on the brands, Coca-Cola and so on. For me, I would make the assumption that Coca-Cola doesn't care about the merits of a platform, the values, blah, blah, blah. I would say that if Coca-Cola was getting a return on investment, they wouldn't care where they were advertising. I don't think they are going to be like, we're making a lot of money out of advertising on Twitter, so let's stop because of values. Like, I don't see that really easily happening for Coca-Cola. So I think they are probably not making the return on investment that they're expecting, and that's why they would pull out or reduce. So I don't think they're literally sort of sitting around saying, I feel like the values aren't aligned or something. Honestly,
so
like
what is
if
it
it's
then? Why
making
are
money.
they? You think this is a less good advertising platform than it was before he took over? You think? Do you think that?
Yeah, and I don't think that's because of the advertisers. I think it's that the consumers interacting with Twitter might have dropped or changed and whatever, and that could be impacting the ROI. So, but I think if I was Coca-Cola, would I care? I just want to say, is this making money or not? Answer is no. Right, we'll reduce for now and see what happens, and then we'll go back up again. So in general, they're not going to. I don't think it would make any sense for Coca-Cola. Like, they're not going to not sponsor the World Cup because of values. They're just going to go ahead and do it because they're making money out of that. They're not going to give
Yeah.
it to Pepsi, right?
So I don't know if it would go to extend to making money. Like the mechanism, the marketing mechanism here is advertising. This is brand marketing, isn't it? So one thing we definitely
Yes.
know is that he cut out hundreds of thousands of bots, etc., at the start. So if you're looking at CPMs and those kinds of things, then the value, then it will have changed dramatically. Do you know what I mean? It feels to me like mostly what he's done is going to make it a better platform for advertisers. And then he's also taken away the dependency on those advertisers as revenue. So I think he knows how to run a business. I think he'll be fine. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think he's got it correct. So it's one thing to say advertise in my platform. I've got 5 billion users, and it's another thing to say advertise. I've got 2 billion users. So there's got to be some level of a scaled correction on that pricing for what Coca-Cola, for example, would be willing to pay for the audience that is actually there versus what was
Yeah, yeah,
originally
yeah.
claimed, or etc. So I think
I
that probably, fix your pricing, and I'll come back because it's the ROI for us is eyes.
Yeah, but this is also the short-sightedness for me, is if advertisers really were looking at CPMs, and we know that the audience figures were hugely inflated by all these bots, and they bought it, you know what I mean? And if he is fixing that, and he's fixing some of the worst content that was available on Twitter. It seems to me that it's only ever going to be, I mean, the numbers are going to go down dramatically, but the quality should go up. I think Twitter. I think Twitter is an appalling advertising platform. It always has been. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's no upside for me. So I don't know what the returns need to be for those kinds of corporations. I'm not managing their budgets, but yeah, it's interesting. I think it's interesting. Good. Should we go on to Ocado?
Hit it.
Oh, are we finished with Elon Musk?
Yes.
Okay, good. Right, so here is a proper marketing story about Ocado takes marketing back to basics as losses deepen. Ocado CEO called discounting a balancing act as the online supermarket revealed it slashed its marketing budget by nearly a third in the first half of the year. Ocado slashed its marketing budget by nearly £7 million in the first half of the year as it wrestles to find the right balance for its use of promotions. It comes as the online supermarket reveals a loss of $289 million for the period, a drop of 37% compared to the same period in 2022. Ocado's budget for marketing dropped, 26.6 to 20 million. Vouchering, they don't include their vouchering. Marketing spend as a percentage of revenue, therefore, decreased to 1.7% versus 2.4% for the same period in 2022. This struck me because, like, reportedly, the top 500 brands are spending like somewhere around 13% on marketing, and they're only spending 1.7%, which seems low. The CEO said that marketing strategy going back to basics, described Ocado's current marketing mix as looking more like it did in 2019. Brand's current focus is on acquisition of customers rather than retention or reacquisition, which is the most expensive way to get customers. They talk about their discounting is how they get customers, and they're saying it's very easy to give away pound coins, etc. They said that they've had good progress, decisions up 5% and growth in customer numbers. Average order values are up, average retention. So what they're talking about, which kind of got my interest, is they're talking about it's no good discounting. People will come for the discount. And it's not until somebody has placed 5 orders that they consider them to be a consistent customer and a worthwhile customer. And at that point, if they've ordered 5 times, they'll order 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, whatever it is. So it just struck me that this was a very open kind of assessment of how it actually works in business, you know. So the things that shocked me are they're only spending 1.7%. Now, if they're talking about revenue, it's difficult because what is their revenue? Does it include the cost of the order that they're placing with the shops? They're the delivery people for Waitrose, aren't they? So I don't know, maybe it is a very low margin business, so maybe they're never going to be able to spend 12% on marketing. But it just seemed, I was looking for something that was talking about the state of the economy and market, because we haven't spoken about that for ages. And I don't know if we are actually in recession in these different places or not. Like, what actually happened to that? Are things good or bad kind of in the market? That's what I was interested to know. What do you think?
I think that there is no excuse for logistics or supermarkets to go any way but up, especially online. So
Yeah.
I think there's just been some major F up in their marketing, frankly, to be able to. I mean, what the hell are they doing operationally if they're not able to make profit? When you think about, like, just go back to toilet paper and pasta, right? It was off the charts. And so the major issue that supermarkets had during the pandemic was keeping up with demand, and then they started to sell everything and their dog in the
Yeah.
supermarkets because they were shutting everything else down. So you could buy tools and gardening equipment and whatever. You suddenly could buy everything from supermarkets, and
Yeah.
Waitrose is no exception. And so they grew exponential, right? Now, then what they didn't have is staff, but it was very casualized. So it's not like they took on all these pensions and whatever. So unless they've taken all this massive growth of full-time people, or I do wonder what has gone on and logistics is probably the most profitable sector in the world right now.
Yes, so that hadn't even occurred to me. Because they had almost exclusivity. Do you know what I mean? It's like they were the only people who were allowed to trade for a large part of the pandemic.
Yeah, so what have
How
they done
did it
with
go
that?
so categorically wrong? What's that?
Exactly. It's like we're not going to have a pandemic lockdown forever. You need to be thinking ahead, and you need to be thinking, what else can I deliver? Where else can I deliver? What other. And, I do think it's pretty embarrassing for Ocado. Like, you could say, oh no, what's happened? But then if you look back, this is the most solid, like, they are classified as emergency workers. These people who are delivering food. That's just nuts that they would have mismanaged that significant cash injection so badly. Like, I hope they go bust, honestly. It's just absolutely, like, get your shit together, frankly. I look at what Woolworths did over here, right? So Brad Banducci, he's the CEO of Woolworths, which is the equivalent. They are very much like that sort of a upper end quality organic blah supermarket. And he doubled down on communication with clients. Now, of course, he's not the logistics. He's actually the supermarket, but he partnered up with people. He did basically Uber delivery of goods, which they've maintained. So you can choose to have a Woolworths driver or just some random Uber person who's willing to take your groceries from A to B. So you can choose, and it's cheaper to have just some random, which is really cheap for Woolworths because they can
Right.
say, right, we're going to pay them less, but we're not paying for insurance, or all the risk profiles very different to a permanent staff, blah, blah, blah. So that's what Woolworths is doing logistic-wise. What the hell is Ocado doing? Have they just appointed all these full-time? Is it unions? Is the system broken? I am annoyed. There you are. Get it together. There need to be more advocacy. If it's unions forcing, there's so many ways that they should be like the most successful sector in the UK right now.
Okay, but I don't think it's unions. I've not heard anyone say it's anything about unions. Why is Ocado struggling? I love it when you get anyone
Great,
who
yeah.
don't give a shit if they go out of business. I think also, 2022, September 13, 20, Ocado has warned that annual sales will drop because customers are trading down to value products and buying less overall amid a worsening blah, 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 blah. Why are people falling out with Ocado? Onlookers suggest the sustainability of the online grocery market post-pandemic had been massively overestimated. Other experts believe one of the reasons customers are falling out of love with Ocado is that it is more expensive than other supermarkets. Okay, so there you go. So there is more going on.
They've made a stupid decision. They have assumed that the way people bought in lockdown is how they're going to carry on forever. Like,
Yes.
wake up and smell coffee. This is not a thing. Never was that going to be a thing. People like going to the supermarket. What else are you delivering is what you should be thinking. And have you hired full-time people? Big error. You need to just be more flexible and agile. So casualize and back down. This is exactly what other supermarkets in this country have done, and they're zero impact. In fact, the only
Okay.
thing they've kept is sorting out their online better. And we
Yes, yes.
also are at the edge of recession, but then they would be saying, right, we need to introduce more value products. This is basic response and having proper feedback loops in place.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sleep at
So
the
what's going on is their income is up 0.6%. Their income is up 0.6%. Their costs are up 16.5%. There was also 349 million worth of accounting charges, and there was also a near 14% rise in financing costs. So they're financed. Okay, good. So you're right. They deserve to go out of business. And it's got nothing to do with the marketing. They're also underinvesting in marketing. Do you know what I mean? They should be investing more in marketing and not just giving away coupons and getting people, especially if they know, like they seem to know, like we know now with like a 30 seconds research, that people are shopping for looking for value. Do you know what I mean? And they're going, okay, here's one lot of value. Now, will you be our customer? It's like, no. Okay, good. All right, let's push on because I've got people coming to look at my internet. Your next story, marketing evaluation. What's the marketing evaluation that's gone on? Experts warn of
Right.
dangers of AI.
Yes. And so these evaluation experts, and I don't know how these people were chosen, but they're basically saying stop using AI in the way that you're using it. So they've written this official letter, um, and they're basically saying that the algorithms powering these models um, don't help you to make good decisions about the ROI. Now, Elon's going to like that, I would imagine, because he'd say, hey, Coca-Cola, stop using this method of measuring. So it's different analytics tools. Um, they're not actually, if they're using AI, they're not sophisticated enough, and anyone using them is a guinea pig for the tool. So,
Yes.
they need to be tried and tested. And it sounds great because it's cheap, but it is too good to be true, and that's the message that they're sending out. So, what my thing about this is that um, measuring the success of your marketing, it is humans that buy, not computers. So I think we measure the wrong thing, and we don't necessarily fully understand why things are happening. There's a lot of assumptions that a computer might make about what and why. And I've been diving into Google Ads this week, as you know, so I can see the issue with AI because it would tell me you should optimize on this terminology. And I'm like, I know that is not what I should optimize on, but I don't know it from quantitative data. I know it from qualitative data. So it's almost like we are disconnected from nature and each other via data analysis. So this over reliance on doing it this way, I think, is what they're sort of saying. Listen, these algorithms are not as smart as us. That's the bottom line, and we are trusting something that looks like it knows what it's not really reliable. It's not going to reliably produce the information you need for the decisions you need to make. There you are.
Good. Thank you. Welcome back
What
to
do
the
you think?
bright side. So this is what I've been saying since the beginning. Artificial intelligence ain't intelligence. It's like artificial grass. You know what I mean? It might look nice, but you don't want to slide on it at all. So there is no experience. There is no empathy. There is no. All of these things that make up intelligence aren't. Like, all they're doing is manipulating data, which is what computers are great at. So this is what AI has been since the very beginning. Now there's demand for like marketing, AI in marketing type courses, AI in content generation, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm on a mission to assess all these tools. I can't find anything that's really very useful. Like, my thing is going to be, this is how we do marketing, right? What tools are available to support us? I'm struggling to find them, I think. So I do think this, and I do think that the idiocy of AI is that it's like all of these new technologies, they're all about making things easier for marketers. Like, things aren't easy enough for marketers. You know what I mean? So, good. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with them. There needs to be these other things when you're making assessments that are important. There needs to be some empathy. There needs to be some experience. There needs to be all of these things that AI just doesn't have at all. Um, yeah, some emotion. Do you know what I mean? There needs to be some emotion. And this is my big thing about AI, is that not that AI is going to be so clever. We just all decide, oh, AI is so clever that it's cleverer than all of us. Do you know what I mean? And that, for me, is a really dangerous place to get to. That's when bad things start happening, I think.
Yeah, and look, there's the World Federation of Advertisers, right? So they have the GARM group, Global Advertising something. Look it up, GARM, and this group have just produced a generative AI and metaverse brand safety playbook. So I mean, it's only just done that very
Who's that
very
group?
recently, like 4 weeks ago. GARM,
GARM.
Global, yeah. Let me just get their name right for you. Global, I read them, I mentioned them before as well. Global Alliance, is it? Let me just go. where are we? Global Alliance for Responsible Marketing. Right. So the Global Alliance for Responsible Marketing have like a month ago produced a playbook for being safe around generative AI, which is different to evaluating using AI, but like the metaverse and all that sort of thing. So they've just produced a brand safety playbook, and that's great. But the point being, it is day one. That's 4 weeks ago. In our lifetime, it's 4 weeks ago. So we don't know what we're talking about yet. And I think this letter of warning is saying just know you're a guinea pig. And that's, I mean, we would have had this same conversation when people said, should you have a website or should you not have a website? You know, and or should you have a shop and distributors or not? Like, if you go back in time, it's not like the first time we've had this conversation, but do you want to be the first person with a website?
The last 20 years. So 20 years ago, I was convincing everyone they had to have a website. And 15 years ago, I was convincing everyone they had to have social media. Do you know what I mean? And then we're convincing everyone there needs to be digital transformation. And now we have to convince everyone that they need AI. Do you know what I mean? It's not like these things just happen, just land, and everyone's like, this is amazing. There's an industry out there having to drive these things, you know? So I don't doubt that it's useful. I don't doubt that it's... But my concern is that we're just putting too much credibility on these things, which are data manipulation tools. Do you know what I mean? That's all they are. And now what you need is data manipulation tool assessment people to apply the stuff that's missing, like the history, the sentiment, the emotion, the empathy. Do you know what I mean? All of those things that computers can't do. I'm with you 100%. Let's launch, because I've got somebody arriving in minutes. Let's launch into the next thing, which is the same story, basically, from another place, which is this study which has been taken place. ChatGPT can match the top 1% of creative human thinkers, says new study. So all I want to say about this is, no, it can't. Because the way I understand it is, I mean, I have read this entire article, and the way I understand it is all that ChatGPT is doing is learning from data sets. So it can't be creative, can it? It's not going to create something brand new if it's learning from data sets. So, I mean, there's this whole article.
Yes, I would say yes and no. Yes, I think it can, because it reshuffles information. And reshuffling information is a strategy that generates creativity. But no, for an original thought that is not already existing in an analogous way. So it'll like, for example, we work with NASA and health. NASA have lessons for health. We've worked with Ferrari and hospitals. The Ferrari helping the hospital to operate a bit more efficiently, like a pit crew. So that is reshuffling of information. That's where I think it can help. Is going and finding really best practice and shuffling it into the problem statement that you have. But that just means that you're going to be translating something from replicating strategies that work from one part of the world to your world. And then to a degree, that can mean what you're doing in your sector is deeply innovative because no one else is doing it. So that's when it can work. But in terms of generating a new to world, I don't see that happening. Like, I'll tell you how, like, Edison used to solve a lot of his problems by falling asleep with hanging on to a metal spoon over a metal plate. And as he fell asleep, the spoon would drop, wake him up, and then he would go to his problem. And he knew, without understanding the neuroscience, that is when his aha moments happened, is when he was in an alpha state, half asleep. So we know about insight and the brain, that creativity and that sort of thing is when you're in the flow, i.e. you've turned off your conscious brain. So AI to me is the complete, like, 500% version of conscious mind. There is no subconscious there. And so it doesn't allow for apple falling on a tree, random. But it will be able to shuffle information. So I think that could be interesting if you say, tell me someone who's great at making something efficient, and it goes for a search. There may be a way to harness case studies, but unique, I don't think so.
100%. 100%. So, and it's also a bit weird the way they conducted this study. They asked for ideas, something from students, from the University of Montana. They put them in with other students who did the same test internationally, and they were looking for fluency, originality, and flexibility in their thinking and elaboration. Resistance to the figural assessment requires the test taker to draw their answers. For example, they're drawing or they're writing things. This, for me, is the thing that I'm concerned about, which is now we're saying, okay, this artificial intelligence is more creative than us. Do you know what I mean? This is another sense. And the other thing that occurred to me recently was I've got a theory about ChatGPT, which is if it weren't that typewriter animation, we'd all be much less impressed. Have I shared this theory with you before? So basically all they're doing is pulling information from the internet. So if they were just flashing it up like snippets, like we've seen on the internet for the last 20 years, we'd be much less impressed. Because the cursor flashes 3 times and then it starts producing, we're like, oh, I couldn't even type that fast, you know what I mean? Let alone create that fast. So that's what I think. The other thing that's gone on is they've now got people, like in their prompts, talking to the computers like they're people. And I think there's a significant, like a young person I know who does a lot of this, is like, oh, you are this kind of thing and you are in this, whatever, do you know what I mean? And, you know, create this thing for me. I think that's significant because computers aren't people, do you know what I mean? But I think that's also a significant step. Yeah, I think it's interesting. This is another step towards humanity saying computers are cleverer than us now. They should be making the decisions, which I think is going to be like Terminator type stuff. That's what I think.
Well,
Okay, good.
I mean,
So shall we go to your very last
yeah,
story? Your very last story is about FMCG brand growth, purchase habits, returns. 5 interesting stats to start the week. Well, we know that 40% of these aren't interesting. So which are the interesting ones?
less than half a brand. That is not interesting. We can carry on through. There's one that I wanted to pull out, in fact,
Just
so we
over
can
half,
save time.
54% of British consumers say they are more likely to buy a product if they know it is made in Britain. Oh, okay, so this is nationalism and brand. That's good.
Yeah, but actually, the thing is, though, if you look at that one, right?
Yeah.
Let's rewrite that. 52%. Hang on, where are we? I'm jumping ahead.
54%.
UK ad. Hang on, sorry, I've got mine open parallel. Okay, yeah, the flag. Okay, bear with me. All right, so what that means, flag. It means that 46% are more likely to buy a product if it's made in Britain. 46%. And then potentially, right? And then 40%. But I do think that it is lower. Not much, though, than other countries. That's interesting, vaguely interesting. I'm more interested in if you go down to the purple one.
Okay, what about this? 81% of UK online shoppers have serious concerns about the environmental impact of ordering multiple items of clothing online in different sizes to try on at home, despite widespread understanding of the environmental implications. So the thing is, this is always interesting to me because here, basically, I would reinterpret this as who's interested in buying local? Like there's a much smaller environmental cost. Who's interested? 50-50. Nobody really cares. Here, 81% suddenly are concerned about the environment. Okay, what about this one? Was this purple?
But Martin, they said, but they're going to keep doing what they're doing. So they are slacktivists. Slacktivists. So I care, but I don't actually.
Yes.
Which one are you on, Melanie? Purple one, yes. Purple
Less
one.
than half of FMCG brands grew in 2022. 48% of FMCG brands globally grew in 2022 in terms of value versus 2021. Of those growing brands, almost 9 in 10, 88%, have grown with higher improved penetration. 51% of brands growing in terms of value did so with both higher penetration and frequency, with 37% achieving growth with just higher penetration.
That's the least interesting I've read today, in my opinion. Okay, that one.
All right, so I don't even know what that means. Let's get to it. UK ad market has declined by 2% in the year so far.
Yeah, I don't care about that. The next one's interesting.
Almost half of consumers disappointed with purchase from influencers.
Yeah, but I also think the way they've framed this is like we've got it in for influencers. So let me rewrite this, because what this means potentially, 52% of consumers who bought a product after seeing an influencer advertise it report having been satisfied, right? So if 48% were disappointed, 52% were satisfied. 4 in 10 said they don't trust influencers. 6 in 10
do.
trust in, right? So F you with your marketing. But I do wonder if we're just trying to kill influencer market, because looking at this, it doesn't really damn when you think about it. Because potentially the rest of these people were perfectly happy.
Yes.
Like four weren't out of 6. 4 out of 6. That's still a fair amount, but the majority were not unhappy with the thing they purchased after being an endorsement. So I just think it's interesting how, there's lies and statistics. You know what I mean? So that is just that.
But
That
look
for
at
me
you
is
bringing
just
all
like
your
classic.
experience and your empathy and your insight, like an actual human being assessing something. It's no good, Melanie Farmer. It's not the way the world's going.
Do you mean I should rely on this data that I am
Do what your
presented with?
computer tells you to do, Melanie Farmer.
Well, it tells me no more influencers, so that's it. I need to sort of kill that and stop buying from people who tell me.
AI was killing influencers like immediately. It was influencers were next on the hit list. Good.
I do. One thing I wanted to say, one little thing, which was the creativity stuff. We have evidence, and the science tells us that we need to have 2,000 ideas before we find a good one, on average, for the big breakthrough moments. And so with this idea, those students, they put in with a computer. First of all, they weren't in alpha state. They were in a group think. So bad news. They're just breaking every rules of creativity. We don't get creative when we're in a group think pressure. So they should be walking in nature, sitting under a tree, having a nap. All these things. And they should have 2,000 ideas before you start assessing the ideas that they've had. So I think that they're not even putting the context that we know scientifically will produce creativity. Epic fail. I'm judging them harshly. That would be a fair fight.
So what I'm taking away from this is AI will be perfectly good and useful when AI can take a walk in the woods and have a nap under a tree. That's my takeaway for today.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. When you see robots chilling out under a tree, hanging out with their dog, then we're in trouble.
We know it's good.
Until then, we're fine.
Excellent. Fantastic. Okay, good. So I think we got to the end. So for anyone who's still with us, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't yet taken the time to like, share, subscribe, and comment, now is the second best time to do that. Please do that now. And you can expect to see Melanie Farmer and I here looking at the marketing news and speculating wildly about what it might mean for you in your marketing life in 2 weeks' time. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for being here, Melanie Farmer. You are an absolute legend.
My pleasure.
Thank you for taking the time to check out this episode of Marketing Review. If you found this interesting and useful, then YouTube thinks you're going to enjoy this. And this is the latest thing that we've produced. If you haven't yet, and you could take a second to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all of those good things, that will give us the motivation to continue on.